Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and we'll continue with our 100 days of DevOps. We are currently in the third phase, which is CI/CD. Started about 3 days ago. Thereabout, and I explained what CI/CD is, explained the steps, the tools, and we started looking at Jenkins about like 2 days ago. We installed it the day before yesterday, and yesterday we were able to look at the Jenkins user interface. I also explained some concepts in Jenkins, like the controller, the agent, workspace, job, pipeline, and the rest. And I also we were able to look at some setups, like setting up the plugins, installing some necessary plugins that would enable us to be able to work effectively with Jenkins. I went into the Jenkins container and I was able to show us the jobs that we created, how everything is structured into folders, so it keeps a record of all that we are doing. Now I want to quickly show us something before we get into what we have for today. So when we went into the folder, the Jenkins container yesterday, I created a test job, which we saw immediately in our Jenkins container. Now, I wanted to show you, I just felt the need to mention it. Let me cut my Docker Compose. Now, remember I talked about volumes and I said volumes helps us to maintain persistency, right? Now, in a case where I did not include these volumes, for every time that we run Jenkins, we'll have to set up everything from scratch. So in a case, if you have tried to run Jenkins and you notice that whenever you try to spin it up again, you are asked to do the setup again, it means that you properly did not create a volume or map it correctly to your container. That is why you're having that issue. So it is one of the things that I thought to mention. So in case anybody is having any issues and they're wondering why are they doing this setup from scratch again, so it's something that you just have to look into. When you look critically into it, you would discover that you did not properly map the volume. So I hope I've been able to answer someone's question who has been having that particular issue. So that's it. Let's go to the business of today. So today we are basically going to be focusing on pipelines. That is all that we're going to do today. We'll write our first pipeline. We'll look at how we can write pipelines, how we can go about it. You don't really have to know everything. And I'm also going to, probably at some point before the end of this video, I would also try to show us how we can incorporate AI into helping us to, write our pipelines so that we can get things done faster, because AI is something that as it has come to stay and everybody has to embrace it. So you can use AI to assist you to get some tasks done. So this was actually where we stopped yesterday. This is a pipeline. I'm just going to run this before I explain what this is. So when I save, okay, so I've saved it, and we can see when I click on build now, so it is already scheduling our pipeline. We can click into it to see the progress of the pipeline. So it's showing I started it. This started by me, and the pipeline was to print hello world. So it printed hello world and it finished with a success. So you can see, when you come to console output shows you the output of what you have done. So, and you can see running on Jenkins in /var/Jenkins home workspace and test pipeline. So like I mentioned workspace. That was yesterday when I was trying to explain the concept. So for each pipeline, you have a workspace for it. That's for it, for the job, right? So you can check the pipeline overview, just to see what happened. So it started, it printed the hello world, it printed the hello, and it ended because we only defined one stage in the pipeline. So you can also open Blue Ocean. I think Blue Ocean also helps to showcase your pipeline. So it's basically like one and the same. So let's go back. All right, so what we did now was an example of a pipeline. So we saw different things, and we saw things like what do you call it? Like agents, like step, and all of that. So first off, let me go back to my slide. Now, every Jenkins pipe, there's something called you have a body. I don't know how to put it now. You can either, okay, yesterday when I was showing, let me go back so that I wouldn't confuse myself. So let me open a new pipeline, or let me see if I can use the other one. Let me go to test pipeline and let me see if I can edit it. Let's see if I can edit the pipeline. I wanted to show us something. I've showed us yesterday, but I don't just want to talk theoretically. Yes, this is what I'm looking for. Okay, now in this particular stage, this is the pipeline phase, which is the most important part of your job. Now you can see the definition. You are either defining from a pipeline script, or you're defining from a pipeline script from source code monument, which I explained that it is when you are integrating your Jenkins with GitHub. So instead of having your pipeline here, you define your pipeline in a folder, or in a file rather, and then you put it in your GitHub, and Jenkins pulls it from your GitHub repository and runs it. Now, how do you do that? That brings me to what I wanted to say. Now, you can define your pipeline in a file called Jenkinsfile. So the same way we have Docker file for Docker, we have Jenkinsfile for Jenkins. So is the file that houses your Jenkins pipeline, right? All the steps you want to define, you just put it in a Jenkins file, and then you reference that Jenkins file in your Jenkins user interface, and then Jenkins goes to your GitHub repository, pulls that file from your GitHub repository, and then run all the steps. Like I told you, pipeline is like a list or a steps of things that you want your orchestrator to actually do for you. So it will run all the steps, the security scanning, the building step, the pushing step, whatever you've defined in your pipeline, that is what it's going to do. So the base of everything is to have a Jenkins file. So, and there's no space. The Jenkins is capital J, and all the rest are small letter, just exactly the way Docker file is. So Docker file for Docker, Jenkins file for Jenkins, right? So now, for every pipeline on a high level, this is what you need for. This is what you need for your pipeline. This is what your pipeline will contain. Your pipeline will contain, I'm talking about the syntax now. Pipeline. Your pipeline Your pipeline will contain agent. Your pipeline would contain stages. Your pipeline will contain stage. And your pipeline will contain steps. Yes. So on a high level, these are the most important parts of your pipeline. And also, Jenkins pipeline is written in, and I was saying yesterday that you might be looking at the pipeline, okay, what kind of language is this? It is written in Groovy. Groovy. So we call it a Groovy language or a Groovy script, as the case may be. So if you're being asked what syntax or what format or what language is the Jenkins pipeline written in, you can always tell them it's written in Groovy. So Groovy is a language that is used for Jenkins. And one thing that is peculiar about Groovy is the use of these curly braces. Right, it's a curly braces. I really hope I got it correctly. But yes, in a Groovy script, you have these curly braces, it's being used basically. It's predominant in a Groovy script. There are other things that you can actually incorporate in your pipeline. You can incorporate things like environment. That's if you want to have your environmental variables. When I start writing these things, you'll see it in practical. You can have options. You can have options. You can have posts. You can have a conditional clause, which is a when. You can have parameters. You can have so many things, but on a higher level, these are the most important. Once you have these are enough for you to actually run to have like a pipeline. So that said, we're going to be writing a simple pipeline and we'll see how it would come out. We're not going to use the Jenkins file yet. We'll just have a declarative pipeline. So let me open a new file. Okay, so we're going to write our first pipeline. Like I said, the most important things are the pipeline. When you want to write a Jenkins file, this is exactly how you have to structure it. So you do a pipeline and you use your curly braces, right? Once you use your curly braces, everything goes into this pipeline. Everything you want to write, every other thing you want to write goes into this pipeline. So all of that things, I'm sure we know about nesting, right? So every other thing is embedded in this pipeline. So it must be inside these curly braces, right? So the next thing we want to define is your agent. Which agent do you want your pipeline, or which agent do you want to execute your pipeline? Like I said, agent is the machine or container which builds, which the build process is actually gone. So we can have, let's just say, since we don't want to specify any agent, we can just say any. So we can just have any agent. So any available agent, we actually take up the task of building your pipeline. So we've already talked about pipeline, we've talked about agent. So what is next? The next thing you want to define are your steps. So the first thing you want to do is define your stages. So stages is, if you have so many, how do I put it now? Okay, now the stages is like the build stages, like what you want to do. Like say you want to check out the GitHub repository, you want to build your repository, you want to build your image, you want to tag your image, everything is a stage. So, and all of that is encompassed in stages, right? Stages is like it houses the stage. So stages we'll also have this. We'll also have this, since a lot of things will go into it. Remember that stages is plural. That means it will have different, different number of stage, right? So since we have the stages as a plural, we will now have stage as singular. We have stage as singular, right? Then we'll do this again, and under stage, then we have steps. We have steps. So on a high level, this is how a Jenkins file will look like. But I'm supposed to write something here. So definitely there must be, I think this is it. So this is to define any stage you want to actually build. Let me go back here. Now you can see here, what I wrote is almost exactly the same thing here. We have the pipeline, we have the agent, we have the stages, we have stage, then we have steps, right? So, and I said we can write anything. This could be anything. You can write anything. Instead of hello, you can say, since we are doing the same thing here, we can say, we can say write hello and present working directory, right? So then hello, hello world, it will echo hello world because you are using the echo command. Now if I want to do present working directory, I can do shell and do pwd, right? So this will echo hello world and tell us the present working directory. So let's try and run it. And hope it works. Okay, so we'll build again. Let's see. Okay, good. So this is our working directory, and this is what it echoed here. So you can see plus pwd because I already included present working directory, right? So that's that about that. You might be wondering, okay, how do you remember everything, or how do you write it? It might look something that might be difficult. So I'm just going to show you some tricks that you can actually use to go about it. Now, these steps here, these are the steps that is defined in this stage. So you can have, now for example, now I have just one stage, right, of that echoes hello world and prints working directory. Now, let's say I want to have more than one stage. How do I do that? Let me delete this. And let me delete this also. So we only have one stage, which is write hello. So if I want to add another stage, let me copy this and bring it to my VS Code. And because I'm bringing it here because I don't want to make any syntax error. So this is one stage, right? We are now going to define another stage. We'll do another stage. And then this. So you can see that my VS Code is already bringing out suggestions, right? So I'm just going to press tab to accept it, but I'm going to still edit it because I want to do something different. So I want to I want to do print working directory, and the steps is just going to be the same step that I gave before. So pwd, and this is going to be sh. So we are doing the same thing. I think there is an issue with the syntax. Okay, fine. Okay, let's. I just want to make sure that the syntax is actually correct. Okay, I think this is. So I'm going to copy it back and come back to my Jenkins and paste. So now you can see that our pipeline is getting longer. So it's not something that you have to like know everything. It's little by little. You just write it step after step after step after step. So we are defining two stages. We're writing hello world, and then we are printing working directory. We print hello world and we show pwd. So when we run this, basically it's the same thing, but now instead of having just one stage, we have more than one stage. We have two stages. So let me save. Let me save. And let me build again. So I'll come here and okay, I'm having an error. Unknown stage section, stage starting with version 0.5 must be steps block line 5:9. Okay, there must be something wrong with my syntax at line 5. Okay, let's go back to it. So when you come across an error, you just have to take your time to look into it. Let's see. Line 5. Okay. Let's see. Echo hello world. I'm not sure I can see any errors here. I'm not sure I can find any errors here. Steps, right? Stage, okay. Okay, I think I've been able to understand where the error is coming from now. Understand where the error is coming from. So let me go back here. Let me go back here. Let me I need to go back to the beginning. So I'm supposed to define my new stage here and not here, right? So I'm supposed to define my new stage after here because this curly braces indicates it has to do with this stage. So if I'm defining it here, then it's supposed to be steps, not stages. So I'm going to do yes. So this is correct now. So let me do stages. Stage rather. Stage. Okay. I'll do that again. Okay. Now it's not giving me any issues. So I'm going to do write present directory, and then I'll just do sh pwd. So I'm going to copy this now and I will paste here. Okay, so it's basically the same thing, but the syntax, just like I said. So whenever you see an error message, if you can look through it and quickly see what is there, then you can be able to resolve it. And if you cannot, you can get assistance. You can check online, check Stack Overflow, use AI to actually understand what you are supposed to do or where you missed it. So now it's complete. So we have the first stage, which is echo hello world. Then we have the second stage, which is print present working directory, and we have this. So this is basically how you start writing your Jenkins files, and before you know it, you have like a full Jenkins file, like you're defining different stages. So we are still going to continue with that. I'm trying not to make this video so long. I wanted to show you, I said I was going to show you guys something. So let's go back to configuration. Now, in a case where you don't really know what to actually write in a particular stage, Jenkins has made it easy for you to actually quickly get code snippets, right, which you can use. And this is where the pipeline syntax comes into play. So if you click on pipeline syntax, it takes you to a page where you can generate syntax, right? So for this now, you can have snippet generator. If you click on the drop down, you can see what do you want to do. You can choose on what you want to do. Let's say we want to change current directory. We can click on this, and then can generate script. So this is to change directory. Okay, let's say we want to change /home /Jenkins /var /Jenkins_home. Let's see. So this gives you the current directory, and then you can now do whatever you want to do in this directory. So let's another one. If you want to echo any message and you want to say this is a Jenkins job, you can generate the code snippet. You can copy it. You just copy it, and you come to your Jenkins file. You can come here. You can either have a separate step for it, or you can just add it to this particular one. So you have echo hello world, then echo this is a Jenkins job. You can also go back, and you can choose from varieties of options that is here, right? And if you feel this is not enough, you can still explore. You go to directive generator rather. So once you come here, let me wait for it to load. Okay, so this gives you more things. Let's say you want to work with things like environment, so you can have your environment, and then you can add so many environments. You say, what is the name of your environment? You can say let's say Jenkins user. Then you can put maybe your name. You can put tech.sam, and then if you want to add more, you can say docker username. You can say tech.sam. You can add so many. So once you click on generate, you would see So you can then copy this. Copy isn't supported, okay? No problem. So you can copy this, bring it to here, and then your environment is different. It's not under stages, right? It's not under stages. So it's independent of stages. So you can just paste it, and you just need to centralize it. So just like that, you start working on your, you know, you start working on your Jenkins file, and before you know, you have a complex Jenkins file. There's still more I want to show you before we call it a wrap. You can also, if you have parameters you want to work with, you can always you want a credential and all of that. So for these credentials, I'm going to also show us this credentials part. You click the name of, let's say you want to add a credential, you add the name of the credential, you add, is it username and password, and then you add your value. You can have a description. Do you understand? So, and then it generates it. Let's see. Docker details, credential type, username. Let's choose username and password, and then let's have a value. Okay, you have to create a credential first. So we're still going to go and do that. So basically, you can use this snippet generator to keep adding files. It's like an assistance. You can also use it, and then maybe you can get other assistance using ChatGPT and other things. Then if you still want an online documentation, when you click on this, it takes you to Jenkins page, and then you can go through it. You can see examples of pipelines. There are so many things for you to actually work with. This is on a simple level, right? It might get complicated at some point, but we are going to try to leave it really simple as it is, so you can get assistance from the you know from the Jenkins documentation page. Yeah, you can just go through this online documentation. So Jenkins has provided everything for you to actually, work with, so that you can be able to write your Jenkins file. So I hope that we've been able to, understand one or two things, and I'm sure that we've also tried, our hands as I was doing it. I believe that you were also replicating similar thing. You can also go further. It's not everything I'm actually going to be able to say on this particular video. Yes, you can always meet me if you need one-on-one assistance or one-on-one tutoring. Yes, you can always meet me, and we'll be able to go into deeper stuff. But I will try to cover as much as I'm permitted to cover throughout the course of this 100 days. So I talked about credentials. Okay, so is there any other thing I'm leaving here? Talked about environment, talked about stages and all of that. Depending on what you want to do, you can always find a code snippet for that. So if you come here, one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to write your credentials in plain details, right? You don't want to include it in your pipeline, like your password and all of the rest. So that is why we've looked at plugin. What we're going to look at next now is credentials. So where you can store your credentials and then load it into your Jenkins pipeline. So there are no credentials. We're going to add credentials. So we're going to click on add some credentials. So there are different ways you can add credentials. You can either add a username and a password. You can add GitHub app. You can add SSH user and private keys. You can use secret file, secret text, client certificate, and also certificate. So let's stick with username and password. So we click on username and password, and we want the scope to be global. So global cuts across everything. But if you use system, you won't be able to, some part of your pipeline will not be able to have access to those credentials. So most times, always keep your scope at global. So username, let's say tech.sam, and then I'm not going to treat username as secret. Let's put a password. Let's put a password, and then ID. You can say user ID. Let's say random user details, right? So this is how you create a credential. So instead of putting your username and your password in your pipeline script, you come to Jenkins, you create a credential, and then you reference it in your Jenkins pipeline. With as time goes on, we are going to try to explore that. So now I have this. Let's see how we can actually use it. Let me come to Jenkins. Okay, let me come here, our pipeline. So I wanted to use I wanted to test the code snippets. So click on the pipeline and click on configure. Okay, so we have pipeline syntax. Okay, now let's come to here. So if we want to use okay, not here, snippet generator. So if we want to use credentials, let's see if we can find credentials. Trying to go through the credentials, see if we can use credentials. I saw it somewhere. Yeah, credentials. So if we want to work with credentials, we click on it, and then you add username and password. No, username and password. Should it be this? So you can see it here. Credentials is already showing. The last time when we tried to do it, it wasn't showing because we have not added it. So you can always see that you can pick from it. So when you do username tech.sam and password, you generate pipeline script, and then you can see if you want to do something and you need, let's say for example now, you need your Jenkins to log into your Docker Hub for it to be able to push the image. So you need to use with credential. Then you've already stated your credential details, right? So it's already there, and then it's going to use those details to actually log into Docker Hub and do whatever it wants to do. And then you define everything here, Docker push and all of that. And then when you are done, you log out of your Docker Hub, and then you move to the next stage. So you can try your hands on all of this, take your time, explore, go online, check online, look at some random scripts, um, you know, try it out, write the script and all of that. So maybe if time permits tomorrow, we'll work with ChatGPT, just to get some hands-on task, which will give us ChatGPT will give us some basic tasks to do, or some basic pipelines to do, which we are going to try to write by ourselves. So that will be all from me today. I really hope that you've been able to gain one or two things. I apologize if this is a long video, so it's really going to watch your time. I just want to take my time to actually explain things to everybody. So, and we'll keep going further and keep progressing on what we are learning so far. Like I said, I hope you've been able to gain one or two things, and if you have, please do well to like the videos so that the algorithm pushes the videos outside to many other persons that might be interested in such type of content. And also do not forget to subscribe to my channel, and most importantly, you can turn on your notification bell so when I upload the next video you get it immediately, and then you can also watch and add to your knowledge. And please do not forget to share the videos to anyone who might be interested in learning DevOps. Share the channel to anyone who might be interested in learning tech, both DevOps, cloud, and tech in general. So I'll see you again tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your day. Cheers.